know Dak Prescott, right? Quarterback, the face of America's team.
Protected well, fires, caught, touchdown, CeeDee Lamb.
I started experiencing emotions I've never felt before. Didn't know necessarily what I was going through, to say the least.
But to understand Dak Prescott, we have to go back to Louisiana.
I mean, it was great. It was a great town. I'd say very, very diverse, very mixed for the most part.
Dak Prescott, right? Quarterback, the face of America's team. Well, fires court, touchdown, CeeDee Lamb. But here's the thing. Nothing about Dak Prescott's life has ever been normal. Because long before he became the face of a billion-dollar franchise, his life was shaped by moments most people never walk away from.
I started experiencing emotions I've never felt before. Didn't know necessarily what I was going through, to say the least. But to understand Dak Prescott, we have to go back to Louisiana. I mean, it was great. It was a great town. I'd say very, very diverse, very mixed for the most part.
Ray Dakota Prescott was the youngest of 3 boys. His parents divorced early, leaving Dak and his brothers to be raised by one person. His mother, Peggy, grew up in the trailer park. It's a place that it's who I am. I don't know any better way to describe it. Coming from that trailer park, like I said, man, 3 boys being raised by our mom. I mean, there were nights that we went without. Going without, I think, credit to mom, credit to you boys, I never felt like I was going without me either.
The Prescotts, they live modestly. Some nights the lights went out because the bill didn't get paid. Other nights they grab a cheap motel room until they could afford to turn the electricity back on. I had what I needed, and then even at times you'd come home and the lights would be off. And instead of, mom being able to pay that light bill, it was easier to go pay $40 to go and touch 6. Hell, to be honest with you, I thought it was a vacation. I was pumped to, get to go swim at the pool that night, get out of the house for a day or out of the trailer for a day, that I never really saw the struggles that way. And then as I got older, obviously you discuss things and it made sense, right? It's easier for her to get $40 to put us in a motel tonight than it is to pay the $170, $200 bill because 3 boys were leaving all of her lights on.
In football, that wasn't a hobby. It was the way out. All my memories really go back into being in that field in between the trailers. Anytime we got to compete in the trailer park, it was the highlight of not just that day, but it's what I carry with me now. And that's where I fell in love with the game of football. That's where the game of football became who I am.
At Halton High School, Dak started to shine. Big arm, big heart, throwing nearly 3,000 yards as a senior and rushing for nearly 1,000 more. His coaches, they saw something different in him. They saw leadership and a kid who played like he carried more than pads on his shoulders, because he did.
In the 7th and 8th grade, he was different than the rest, and we could tell then he was going to be a very good player. How good, you never know really until they get in high school and really play, but you could see just the things he had as a person, that he was going to be something special.
However, Dak wasn't a 5-star recruit. He really wasn't a can't-miss prospect. We'd go to camps and everything, and I'm sitting back watching thinking, he's better than that guy, and he's better than that guy. But I don't know what they didn't see. A Dak Prescott, 6'3", 215, all-Louisiana quarterback. Some of them didn't see him as a quarterback. They saw him as a tight end and other positions. But it's a big mistake on their part. Memphis, LSU, TCU. Yes, sir.
But Mississippi State believed in him, and Dak rewarded them by becoming one of the most decorated players in program history. I think I'm not the camp-type player, as I guess you can say. I don't think when I go to a camp or something, I just throw, I just run. You don't see all the attributes and quality I can help a team out type thing, as Mississippi State offered at their camp. And they kind of saw it as I got in the weight room, got around other teammates, and had the ability to lead and be vocal as I like to be. But Mississippi State jumped on, and I was with it.
But in 2013, everything changed. I remember when initially she told me that she had it, she was like, "You're not coming home. Don't worry about that. You're not transferring to a school around here. You're staying out there where you want to be." And everything was, "Don't you say anything to him. Don't you tell him. I'll tell him I'm his mother. You say a word, I'm coming after you." I'm like, "Gee, I understand." We knew, and we just told the families, "Hey, let us know when you're going to let him know what's going on, so that we can make sure we're there for him and have the right support there for him." But it wasn't our place to overstep her bounds.
I remember when she lost her hair, we all cut our hair off too as well with her. But she didn't show physically. Just because she didn't have any hair, she would never show the pain inside that she was feeling. His mother, Peggy Prescott, passed away after a battle with colon cancer. She wanted us to not necessarily worry about her. And then her initial deal was, well, allow me to be your story. All greats have a story. And at the time, I'm like, I don't want a story. But that's just how she thought about everything. She took the positive out of anything is, hey, I'm sick, but you're going to go be great because you're going to allow this to make you stronger, to make you tougher.
Dak was still in college when the strongest person he knew vanished from his life. But instead of crumbling, he did what he'd always done. He made her proud. Myself and a couple of the guys, my wife and all, we went down to the funeral. And after the funeral, he wanted to get back with us and get in play, come home. He had to get to practice that afternoon. And I'm looking at him say, and as coach, I want to try to, again, I'm trying to protect him. He's like, Coach, my mom would be so mad if I wasn't ready to play this game this weekend. So I got to go get ready to play. I joked to my head coach that my mom would be pissed that I missed the 2 days of practice that I missed. So got right back on the plane and went straight to practice.
Faith, fight, and finish. 3 words she lived by, and the 3 words he eventually built a foundation around. But we'll get into that later. He came into the Egg Bowl game in 2013. Hadn't even taken a snap in about 4 to 5 weeks. We're down. He comes on the field, leads us 2 fourth-quarter drives, and wins the game. Dak Prescott. Prescott down, touchdown, Mississippi State. From the second I put him in, I knew we were going to win. Dan Mullen couldn't have said it better about his quarterback.
It was the first time Dak Prescott saw action in 3 weeks after injuring his shoulder and the loss of his mother. The second he stepped on the field, he received a standing ovation and the momentum slowly switched. Hard to believe. Imagine that there wasn't any divine intervention out there on that field today. We asked the team before the game to write to dedicate the game to somebody and write a letter why they dedicated it to that person. And you can ask him who he dedicated his performance to.
I wrote it to my mom. I mean, my mom, she's just like me. And I wrote on the letter, she hated Ole Miss just as much as I did. So, I mean, and her favorite time of football season was going to a bowl game. So it's no better feeling to be able to go bowling for her.
At Mississippi State, Dak started to become Dak. Not the Dallas version though, but the blueprint. That guy who doesn't get rattled and the leader players actually listen to. Started to get an aura about him. When he stepped on the field, things changed. I got some money in my pocket, rock and roll. You just started to see, here's a guy now that's ready to be a quarterback.
Top 3 candidates for the Heisman. Rick, I'll start with you. I'm going to start with number 1, Dak Prescott, the quarterback from Mississippi State. This is what he does better than anybody in the SEC. Touchdown. That play was all made by Dak Prescott being able to extend the play. He's the best quarterback in the SEC.
The sports commentator's writing style is quick, clear, and forceful. But despite his college success, Dak wasn't considered elite. He wasn't the prototype, and scouts nitpicked everything, literally everything. Things like average arm strength, not enough upside, backup level projections. Accuracy on intermediate and deep throw is not sharp. Footwork is a mess. Okay, tape shows a player who must improve his mechanics, poise, and quickness through his progression. Comparison Brett Hundley. So he fell all the way to the 4th round.
The sports commentator's writing style is quick, clear, and forceful. How do you start making him able to get on the field with us? What do you do? What do you work on with him, or how do you make him into somebody that fits for us? Or if we're going to play him and we're committed to playing him, are we going to develop some things that are more for him and less to our system? What's the likelihood they draft a quarterback? Yeah, I think it's very strong. Remember, the Dallas Cowboys go back historically, haven't really drafted a first-round quarterback. Predictably, rumors are rampant about what my Cowboys are going to do. All sorts of stuff is flying about. They might even trade up for the first pick to take Carson Wentz. And I say, Maloney, it's Jerry Jones and you're a Dallas Cowboy.
How you doing? Listen, we're glad you're here. Excited about it. Number 1 thing in your mind is to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Yes, sir. That's it. Yeah, what's up, coach? Congrats, man. Appreciate it. You excited? I am. Trust me. I know you are. I had a feeling this might happen. Hey, appreciate it, coach. Hey, look forward to it. You got my number, right? Right. Yes, sir. So call me. No, I don't have yours. I have Coach Wilson's. All right. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. All right. How about I'm happy to present the 135th pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, our Dallas Cowboys select
The sports commentator's writing style is quick, clear, and forceful. And then, as if scripted or something, the Cowboys' quarterback room unraveled. Tony Romo tries to slide out of the pocket, chased down from behind, and Romo was slow to get up. And that is the worst possible sign that any Cowboy fan watching could ever see. Just 90 seconds into a preseason game in Seattle, Tony Romo took a massive hit. He grasped his back, collapsed to the turf, and by the next morning, an MRI confirmed a fractured L1 vertebrae.
The Cowboys situation with Tony Romo now out, so their Super Bowl odds went from 17-1 to 30-1, but morale is a little bit higher there than a lot more higher there than it is in Dallas with Dak Prescott. Have you seen enough where you can say Dak Prescott, the Cowboys are in good hands for the rookie fourth-rounder sitting third on the depth chart? Everything changed overnight?
If you're going to hand out an MVP of the preseason, Bucky, I believe there's only one candidate, and that's Dak Prescott down in Dallas. MVP. He's a Hall of Famer based on preseason production. Dak Prescott was no longer a project. He was handed the keys to America's team, and just like he'd always done, he delivered. How about them Cowboys? Pressure up the middle. He's going to run and he's going to score.
His rookie season became one of the most efficient, poised, unexpected performances in NFL history. 13-3, a playoff berth, and Offensive Rookie of the Year. And the 2016 AP Offensive Rookie of the Year is Dak Prescott. It's humbling. This whole year was. I want to thank the Cowboys organization and thank the other 31 teams for passing up on me as much as they could. Not only did he replace Romo, but he rewrote what a Dallas Cowboys quarterback looked like.
The sports commentator's writing style is quick, clear, and forceful. However, like any starting rookie that has success, the sophomore slump is real. Louis Riddick, it seems like in Cowboy players or some people around the organization have alluded to the fact that this sort of looming suspension over Ezekiel Elliott has affected the way he's played. But from a team perspective, Louis, how do you think it's affected the team in general? Ezekiel Elliott gets suspended, the offensive line falls apart, and everything around that cracks.
His numbers dipped. The team misses the playoffs, and the narrative machine does what it always does. I take no pleasure in this, but there is no doubt that the Cowboys have a quarterback problem. Something has happened to Dak Prescott. Something has happened. He is lost. The guy that we saw a year ago, the guy that I think is real, by the way, not a mirage, not something that we just saw as a flash in the pan. The guy that I know and I firmly believe that Dak Prescott can be is gone.
The sports commentator's writing style is quick, clear, and forceful. But what those critics didn't understand was that Dak Prescott has something most young QBs don't: perspective. He lived through a lot worse than blitz pressure or bad protection. So he does what he always does. He went back to work. So that next season, 2018, that was the pivot year because Dak became a superstar. He also became undeniable.
The Raiders plan to trade wide receiver Amari Cooper to the Dallas Cowboys. Josina Anderson, how about that one? There we go. A mid-season trade brings Amari Cooper to Dallas, and suddenly, everything clicks. They fake the run, the pass is caught, Cooper off to the races for the touchdown. Dak's confidence rises and the offense breathes again. They make the playoffs and win a playoff game. Dak's first.
Obviously, just excitement. We got this win, we got this first one, but just pure excitement. Just excitement for the team, just the way we got it done through the ups and the downs, and just able to stick it out as we've done all season long. So it was exciting. He becomes the guy who can win when games get tight and when the team needs someone to step up.
So by the 2019 season, it's safe to say Dak figured it out. 4,900 passing yards, the second most in the NFL. Career highs across the board, shootouts, comebacks, a level of command that makes you forget that he was once seen as being a backup as his ceiling. But despite Dak's production, the Cowboys would go 8-8 and miss the playoffs again. We have breaking news in Dallas. The Cowboys moving on without Jason Garrett as head coach. The move widely speculated since the end of the season. Garrett 9.5 seasons in charge in Dallas, just 2 playoff wins, 4 8-8 seasons. It's one of the strangest contradictions in sports. Honestly, Dak Prescott played the best football of his life, and yet the team failed. And in the NFL, failure always gets pinned on the quarterback.
So, Dak would enter 2020 as one of the most scrutinized quarterbacks in the league. And just as his personal life hit harder than it had ever before, Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott's older brother Jace died Thursday. He was 31 years old, and a cause of death has not yet been released. Jace was the middle of the three Prescott brothers.
First, his older brother, Jace Prescott, died by suicide. It's crazy. All throughout this quarantine and this offseason, I started experiencing emotions I've never felt before. Anxiety for the main one. And then, honestly, a couple of days before my brother passed, I would say I started experiencing depression. Didn't know necessarily what I was going through, to say the least, and hadn't been sleeping at all. But for one reason, one night, I sleep the best I've slept, missing probably 10 plus calls from Tad and giving my dad enough time to come in my bedroom and tell me what had happened. And so I woke up probably the best night of sleep I've ever had in 2020 for the worst news some of the worst news I'll ever get.
Jace had been the emotional anchor of the family, especially during their mother's cancer battle. And then, as if life wasn't done testing him, on October 11th, Dak's ankle snapped on live national television. Prescott breaks the tackle. Oh no, a compound fracture. Season over. The face of America's team taken off the field in tears.
In a single year, he lost his brother, lost his health, and almost lost a game that had carried him from the trailer park back in Louisiana. What a tough couple years Dak Prescott has had personally. That is all kinds of messed up. And for anyone out there thinking, oh, he's got that $30 million contract, believe me, he'd give that $30 million back to have his brother back, right? Like this, I don't wish the last couple years on an enemy what Dak has had to go through. So my thoughts are with him and his family, and I hope he's doing okay, even before this latest thing happened.
But this is the part of the story that defines Dak Prescott. Most people would have broke, but Dak, he isn't most people. After surgery, Dak starts healing in a different way, not just physically, but emotionally. He goes to therapy, he talks openly about his mental health, and he stops pretending to be bulletproof. He starts letting himself be human. He changed his diet, his sleep, his mindset, his spirit. He said he didn't want an arbitrary timetable. He wanted to heal right.
And then, just months after hitting rock bottom, the Cowboys offered him one of the largest contracts in NFL history. A massive, massive deal for the Cowboys franchise quarterback. Dak Prescott just agreed to terms a couple minutes ago. Listen to this. 4 years, $160 million. That is the base value of the deal. At its max, $164 million.
The sports commentator's writing style is quick, clear, and forceful. Today, Dak Prescott is a quarterback, obviously, but he's also something bigger. He runs the Faith Fight Finish Foundation, honoring his mother's battle against cancer. He advocates for mental health, honoring his brother's struggle, and he shares the story so others don't feel isolated in theirs. He is building a legacy that has nothing to do with football stats and everything to do with impact. Dak once said, "Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength."
There are quarterbacks who succeed because they're gifted or because they're coached well. And then there's Dak Prescott, who succeeded because life forced him to grow up fast. He's a survivor, a leader, and a symbol of resilience in a world where breaking always feels easier. The kid who had every reason to quit didn't. And maybe that's the part we never really understood. Because for Dak, the road wasn't accidental or lucky. It was the long, painful path of how tragedy made America's quarterback.